In this video, we'll discuss some concepts and registration ideas that we hope you'll find useful for prelude and postlude music. The goal of our prelude should always be to set a reverent atmosphere in the chapel so that members can prepare for worship. Prelude music that is soft and subdued is best. The organ often has to compete with the sound of talking and visiting in the chapel before the service begins. Rather than attempting to drown out this noise, it's better to keep trying to set a reverent tone. These ideas are applicable not only for playing directly from the hymnal, but for published prelude music as well. Let's talk about how to choose stops for preludes first. There are two main categories of prelude registrations that are commonly used. The first is ensemble registration, where both hands play on the same manual. The second is solo with accompaniment, where one manual is used to play a solo melody line, while the other manual has soft stops to accompany it. For ensemble registrations, we can use either a single stop or several stops combined. To demonstrate, I'll use the 8-foot gedect in the swell alone because it has enough tonal color to be interesting by itself. To create aural interest, it's a good idea to choose two ensemble registrations on each manual that subtly contrast with each other and alternate between those settings for the different verses. In this case, I'll select the 8-foot viola da gamba and 8-foot voix celeste on the swell and contrast that with the 8-foot stop flute and 8-foot gemshorn in the grate with the 16-foot borden and 8-foot bass flute in the pedal. Now let's talk about the second variety of prelude registrations, which is solo and accompaniment. The right hand is on a solo registration and plays only the soprano or melody line. The remaining parts are distributed among the left hand and pedal. This organ has a good selection of stops that are intended as solo voices, such as the oboe, English horn, chrome horn, and clarabelle flute. I'll start by choosing a soft accompaniment on the grate for my left hand. The 8-foot gemshorn and gemshorn celeste work especially well in this context. I'll use the swell manual for the solo voice and play a short musical phrase demonstrating each different stop combination. The registrations I've chosen will appear on the screen. Now I'll reverse the manual's role so that the solo combination will now be on the grate. On the swell, I'll use the 8-foot viola da gamba and voix celeste as the accompaniment. In the pedal, I have the 16-foot echo borden and swell to pedal coupler. Remember that the solo voice should be just above the accompaniment in volume. This can be accomplished by careful use of the two expression shoes. Postludes are traditionally more upbeat in character, but there are times when the meeting ends in a more reverent mood, so we should be prepared with an alternate appropriate piece. Perhaps if the meeting was running over and the closing hymn was either dropped or cut to one verse, in that case we could use that same hymn as our postlude. As an example, let's look at hymn 269. Since we have an 8-foot tuba on this organ, we can use it to solo out the melody, just like we did with preludes, but with a louder registration in this case. Now back to the subject of having an alternate postlude at the ready. Let's say that the meeting is winding down with a noticeably subdued mood, and let's say that the closing hymn was hymn 219 because I have been given much. Right across the page is 220, Lord, I would follow thee, which would make an excellent postlude in this case. We could use another solo and accompaniment registration, but rather than the louder setting we used with hymn 269, I'll use gentler foundation stops on both manuals. These are some basic ideas to get you started. As you become more familiar with this organ, you may find other combinations that are applicable. Bye.